I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everybody. Let's see. All right, and first I want to recognize we have a very special guest in the house. We've got the Honorable Mayor Mike Klein of Northeast. Thank you for coming, Mike. I know you got a presentation coming in a little bit. Okay, meetings of the May 17th meeting. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Financial report and payment of the bills. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a second. Any discussion on the financial report? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next we got the administration of the oath of office for several of our new police officers. Come on down, Chief.
He's on the way. Good morning.
Mayor, we're missing one officer.
He's on
You
his
want
way.
to delay?
He's on the way.
He's on his way.
We'll delay then.
Thank you.
Well, maybe we can't delay too much. Let me see here.
Are we running code?
Hey Lou, let's go to your report if we could. Proclamation P36.
Okay. Mayor and Commissioners of the Town of Elkton proclaiming Juneteenth in the Town of Elkton. Whereas on January 1st, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation declared that all slaves shall be then, thenceforth, and forever free, and that the executive government of the United States, including the military and naval authority thereof, will recognize and maintain the freedom of such persons, and will do no act or act to repress such persons, or any of them, in any efforts they may make for their actual freedom. And whereas on June 19, 1865, the last vestiges of slavery fell when General Gordon Granger delivered and read General Order Number 3 in the remote area of Galveston, Texas, declaring that all enslaved people in Texas were free. And whereas whether called Manumission Day, Freedom Day, or Juneteenth, this day is marked by celebrations which began in community churches in the South, and which has grown throughout our United States. And whereas while our country has come far from the oppressive days of slavery, we must continually recommit ourselves to recognize that we are all children of God and equal in His eyes. Now therefore, on behalf of the Mayor and Commission of the Town of Elkton and the citizens, under the authority vested in me as mayor, and the Town of Elkton hereby declare 19th of every June, Juneteenth, in the Town of Elkton. I encourage all citizens to recognize the price paid by those who spent their lives in slavery and those who fought against it, and to raise our collective voices against injustice.
We have a motion to approve Proclamation P36-2023 Freedom Day.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Our ceremony is going to be on June 19th. At what time, Charles?
10:30.
10:30.
2.
10:30 to 2 at the, is it at the,
The rec center.
at the rec center? It'll be at Elkton Rec Center. Thank you. I had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item has the 4th of July. The Town of Elkton projects to have the 4th of July on the 4th of July, which I believe is a stupid mission. And we received a fireworks extravaganza contract, and the price for the fireworks this year would be $19,675. And I believe since it's almost tradition that the Town of Elkton has a glorious celebration in Meadow Park, that the board approve this expense for the 4th of July.
We have a motion to approve the expense of $19,675 for the 4th of July event.
So moved.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion?
No, I remember dating back, that was 12,000. That has
It
jumped
was.
down to 19,000.
It increased to 4% this year. That's right. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The latest item I have is Resolution R5, 2023. A resolution of the Mayor and Commissioners of the Town of Elkton amending Resolution R4, 2021, Stockton Street, here and after the project for the purpose of providing recreation and community interest programming for the residents of the town. And whereas the mayor and commissioners applied for and on September 12, 2018, received a community development block grant agreement awarding $800,000 for the construction of the project. Whereas the mayor and commissioners on December 19, 2018, accepted the construction proposal of Mersham Construction and Engineering Company, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, here and after the contract to construct the project with a lump sum of $3,450,000 and subsequently contracted with the contractor for this project. Whereas the mayor and commissioner determined that a loan from the sewer fund will be utilized to fund the construction of the project, supplementing the CDBG grant, providing that principal and interest payments be made from the general fund to the sewer fund for the period not to exceed 20 years. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and commissioner of the town of Elkton as follows: that the sewer fund shall loan an amount not to exceed $2,800,000 to the general fund for the construction of the neighborhood community center, 121 Stockton Street. That the general fund shall be reimbursed, or the general fund shall reimburse the sewer fund by making 240 equal monthly payments in principal of $2,800,000 at an interest rate of 1%. And payment from the general fund to the sewer fund shall commence in fiscal year 2025 unless otherwise provided by the mayor and commissioners.
So this resolution is pushing the date back to 25.
Correct.
We have a motion to accept resolution R5-2023.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Chief, you're on.
All right,
I think we got all the officers, right?
we absolutely do.
All right.
So first I'm gonna have Officer Brandon Douglas joining us. Officer Douglas came to us from Aberdeen Police Department. Come on. We're really happy to have him. He was already certified, spent a couple years there. And went to the academy with our Officer Strong and Officer Lowry. And so they, joined the bond, and they've been recruiting him for me ever since, and we're really happy to have him. He's in field training. Then I would like to have Officer Curley come forward. Officer Curley lives here in Elkton with his wife, and he just graduated Baltimore City's Police Academy Friday evening. And then we have Josh Bryce. Josh lives here in Cecil County as well, and just finished Baltimore City's Police Academy. So we're really excited. They're all three in field training. We're really excited to have all three of them. I'm going to give you one, so you
Jay, what's your step?
absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to say hi and state your name, okay? All right, if I have you raise your right arm, right hand, I state your name.
I, John Bryce,
Do swear and affirm
do swear and affirm
that I support the Constitution
that I support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
and that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof,
and laws thereof,
that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of police officer
execute the office of police officer
according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution
and laws of this state.
and laws of the state.
All right. I better autograph these things real quick and get you. And then you jump on it.
I would like to shake your hand.
Thank you. He really was.
All right, Officer Curley.
June 7th.
Sorry to get him smiling, so he was really good.
There you are. Officer Douglas. take it. We love these. Come on.
Yeah, she's a lefty.
That's good. You're out working. All right. All right, big smiles.
I have to use the drone. Okay, I want everybody to smile.
Good job.
You just had your picture taken from another candidate, a graduate of Baltimore Police Academy in 1876. Got horses then.
Thank you, guys.
If you want something, let him know. I'll send it to you. Have your.
All right. Public hearing time, it is 12:05. Well, it's 12:12. This is a public hearing on the constant yield tax rate. Steve, you want to read anything in?
Sure. The mayor and commissioners of the town of Elkton propose to increase real property taxes. For a tax year beginning July 1st, 2023, the estimated real property tax, real property assessable base will increase by 0.8% from $1,334,667,417 to $1,345,916,727. If the town of Elkton maintains the current tax rate of 0.6356 for $100 of assessment, real property tax revenues will increase by 0.8%, resulting in a $71,501 of new real property tax revenue. In order to fully offset the effect of increasing assessments, the real property tax rate should be reduced to 0.6303, which is the constable tax rate. The town is considering not reducing its real property tax rate enough to fully offset increasing assessments. The town proposes to adopt a real property tax rate of 0.6356 for $100 of assessment, which is the current real property tax rate. This tax rate is 0.8% higher than the constant yield tax rate and will generate $71,501 in additional property tax revenue.
Thank you, Steve. This is a public hearing in regards to our constant yield rate. Is there anyone that has anything to say in regards to our current rate? Okay, it is 12:14. This public hearing is closed. Do we have a motion to accept ordinance 3-2023? Oh, nope. I'm moving fast. That was quick, wasn't it? Do we have a motion to maintain the tax rate? Maintain the current tax rate.
So
We have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on this at all? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I was a little ahead of myself. Okay, it is 12:14. We're going to have a public hearing on ordinance 3-2023 fiscal year 2024 budget. We introduced the budget at the last meeting, and it was for introduction purposes only. And I asked the commissioners for some input, and collectively they have given us some input. And there's two changes that we'd like to make to the budget. The first change, we are removing the trash truck out of the capital purchases. And I think that trash truck purchase that was in the budget was $175,000. And then the other adjustment we are going to make is that the town board collectively have reduced the cost of living number from 6% to 4%. So it'll be a 4% cost of living to the town, not a 6%. And the thinking behind that is, here's an example of the cost of the fireworks. As funny as that was, it was a 4% increase. Along with that, our thinking was, we've had a pretty big increase in the healthcare costs for the town of Elkton this year. And that went into our decision also. So it'll be a 4% number that we'll have to calculate into that. Is there any additional changes that the board wants to do with the budget? Are we satisfied with those two changes?
Yes.
Okay. The floor is open up for anyone from the public that would like to comment on the budget for this year. If you're online or in the audience and you have anything to say, certainly can. Seeing none, it is 12:17. This public hearing is closed. Do we have a motion to approve ordinance 3-2023 fiscal year 2024 budget with those two amendments?
So moved.
We have
Second.
a motion and a second. Any other discussion? The only other discussion that I want to make forward to the team, going into next year's budget, we felt it was very, very important that any of our town employees that have let's see, I guess it would be, have met the end of their highest level based upon our charts, that we have to get those things done. We have to make some changes. We either have to redo our pay scale process, or those employees that have reached the maximum amount, in the future, we're gonna actually go back and just pay them a bonus. So if we can't get that worked out, make some more room for the employees to be able to grow into that position, then it's gonna stop right there and it'll just be capped at the end for all employees to have that maximum amount.
Is that effective this budget or?
That'll be effective next budget, so we have some time to make that happen.
Thank you, sir.
Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you guys for your input. Okay. Ordinance 5-2023, we're going to remove off the agenda. I'd like to schedule a meeting on July 12th. The board would like to get involved in setting the water and sewer rates. These rates that I proposed on the ordinance was something that we should have had the whole board involved in. So we're going to get involved, and we'd like to also invite our water and sewer team, and we'd also like to have Infomark here to discuss all of our moving forward with water and sewer. And that would be on July 12th. Okay, I'm gonna hold you guys up for just one more minute, and I'd like to get the bid opening out of the way if we could. Dan, are you handling that, or is that something that?
I got it.
All right. Then we'll give you guys as much time as you want. Okay, so we have a bid opening on project 2021-004, which is the Chesapeake Boulevard Sanitary Sewer Force Main. Tell us about it, Dan.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. This is project, you say right there, 2021-04. It's a force main project, and then the one we designed. So it's going on Chesapeake Boulevard, starts at the pump station, goes back to Pulaski Highway. It was put in for an increased sewer capacity for clean energy, medicine, plus the other things around there. So it's got more capacity for the sewer itself. We have three bidders right here. We'll open them up. You should get a price. You'll get a regular bid, you'll get a contingency, and you'll get a total, I believe. So let's go to the first one. First one here is from East, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
First one is Eastern States Construction Services, Eastern States Construction Services. City Construction Services bids, their base bid for this project is $614,370. Contingency bid is $6,130. So the total bid for this project is $620,500. That's bid number one. Bid number two, let me see, it's Pact One LLC.
You said it was PAC?
Yeah, Pact, P-A-C-T One LLC. The bid from Pact One LLC is, base bid is $1,775,000. Contingency bid is $16,000. Total bid for this project is $1,091,000. That's from Pact One LLC.
Little difference?
Oh, nothing.
Can't wait to see the
Their bid is from Tri-State Underground. So Tri-State Underground is their bid. Okay? Tri-State.
Dan, we had a pre-bid meeting on this, correct?
Yes, correct. We had, at the pre-bid, we had about, I think about 9 people interested in the job, some of them were also stuff. We did have 9, which were surprised that we were so. Tri-State Underground bids, base bid is $827,394. Contingency bid is $2,500, so total bid is $829,894. Those are your 3 bidders.
Okay, I would say that we would do a contingency acceptance for Eastern States for $620,500 on this project. Contingent, of course, being reviewed by KCI and your staff, Dan.
Yes. The engineer's estimate for this project was $799,100 for the base bid and contingency of $1,900. So our estimate was $801,000.
I feel comfortable with Eastern States for sure. So we had a, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a presentation, introduction, Elk and the Northeast Rivers Watershed Association. Mr. Mark Dobbins, and I think you got Mr. Klein, Mayor Klein with you.
I thought I was gonna have to introduce him, but apparently he went to school with everybody.
Well, he certainly did, and listen, Mayor, I wanted to, hopefully he's still there, but you got a new person in Grant Hanley working with you?
We did.
So you brought Grant on as an assistant?
Town administrator.
Fantastic,
We were thrilled to death, wonderful young man, we're excited.
very good. He's a good person.
That's what we think too, so
Yeah.
feel blessed.
Yeah, very good. All righty. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to be looking at here, Mr. Dobbins.
This works. I've only been doing Zoom for 3 years, so I should be,
You're getting good at it.
I shouldn't be confident right now. There we go. Well, thank you very much for your time today. My name is Mark Dobbins, resident of the town of Northeast, and I am pleased to be the president of the Elkton Northeast River Watershed Association. Here today to tell you just a little bit about our organization briefly, and then to introduce you to our water quality sampling.
Can you pull that mic in front of you just a little bit?
Okay.
Thank you.
To introduce the 2022 water quality report card. Tell you a little bit about that. NRWA is which is this. Don't want to get the channel marker in the picture, it's not there anymore, I guess that's not mine on that screen. We are a small, very small, all volunteer grassroots organization. We were certified as a 501c3 nonprofit organization in December of 2014 as a result of a lot of conversations with Cecil County, particularly the Department of Public Works and Stormwater Management Division, and they provided some guidance as we set up our organization. We have about 25 to 30 dues-paying members, but we have about 150 participants on our distribution list that we share information with, and we've met over the years at a variety of different events. Our annual expenditures are on the order of about $10,000. I tell you that because I want to emphasize what we do, what we feel like we are very successful using some very limited resources that we've been very privileged to receive from the county and the town of Northeast.
Can we get rid of that up there on
I
the
can
screen?
Try. I've only been doing Zoom.
Can you just get rid of the minus? All you have to do is hit the minus,
I'm going to, I think because,
or you want me to go on ahead?
We don't need to look at ourselves.
hold on a second, I think it's not
Presentation.
this computer, I think it's that one.
Yeah, I think it's on that one.
Thank you.
I think we can minus it out of there. Maybe. There we go.
Awesome.
Close enough. There we go,
Thank you.
perfect.
Look, I can do that.
Hey!
Thank you very much.
Sure, cool.
Is that a bald eagle?
That was an osprey, who was very displeased that I was bothering her. That was in channel marker 17, at the head of, on the Northeast River before the Coast Guard took it down because it was shoaling, around that area. But that is, one of the pictures that we developed at the River Walk Park. And hopefully, once we get the river dredged, we'll get that channel marker back. Some of the annual events that Enterwood does, we typically kick off the year with Project Clean Stream, usually the first weekend of April. We partnered with the town of Northeast to clean the Northeast Preserve, which is about a 60-acre area at the corner of Northeast Isles Drive and Route 7. Within the town limits, it was a property that was donated, currently under consideration for creation of a preserve and park that will be available for the community. As Project Clean Stream, we've taken out about 4,000 pounds of tires and about 3,500 pounds of just trash and debris over the last couple of years. We typically have our annual meeting in May. Hans's Point Yacht Club has been kind enough to allow us to use their facility. We've enjoyed that. We've participated in the Cecil County Wade-In, which this year is going to be in Charlestown on June 17th.
Mark, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
When you're removing tires and debris out of the Northeast River, Neil, can you just go out there and grab it and take it out of there, or do you have to get permitting?
We have to, the permitting the short answer is yes, you can go grab it and get it out of there. What we do is, the county's kind enough to give us a landfill waiver, particularly for a defined period of time for Project Clean Stream, so that we don't have to pay to take it to the landfill.
Okay.
And they've been very, very helpful. We've been doing Clean Stream now for going on 8 years, the time we've been. We've cleaned along Stony Run, along the Northeast Creek and Northeast River shoreline. We're limited by the number of volunteers, but we've been very fortunate because we've been able to partner with the town of Northeast for the last couple of years, and the town staffs and the mayor commissioners, the police departments come out with a gator to help us move big stuff. So we've been able to pull out a lot more. There's a lot more to be done there in that area, but we're really looking forward over the next couple few years to really creating a pretty amazing preserve and public area there.
So like in low tide, do you reach out if you can see it?
So, we really don't pay attention to the tides. This land is all above ground, above water level.
Okay.
It was gifted to where Mark's talking about now, the future preserve, where we've done the last couple of years for Project Clean Stream. We've worked with a contractor, a landscape architect, and to develop it as a preserve. And we're still in the development stage, but certainly in stage 1, as we bring that on, remediation of this property will be a big part of the stage one of that development. So
Very nice.
it's a beautiful property. It's got, well, we're not here to talk about our preserve, so, but we have done a lot of work there the last couple of years, working with everyone.
And I am always guilty of digressing, so that's an example of that. But we are very proud of the
Well,
work.
can we add the Big Elk Creek to this somehow?
We would love to. Yes.
Okay, I'm liking what I'm hearing
That's
already.
one of the reasons I'm here.
Okay.
We want to get to know people outside of our current area. As I mentioned, Cecil County weighed in. It will be in Charlestown this year on June 17th. We'll go back to the late State Senator Bernie Fowler's sneaker index, where there's a number of exhibitors and vendors that gather there, and then we do get online and go out into the river and check the sneaker index and see how deep it is, how clear the water is, and how deep we can get out before we still see our feet. So, and Bernie Fowler did that about 32 or 3 years ago now. And we still hold that today. It's a lot of fun. Our water quality sampling program is what I'm going to tell you about in more detail today. We typically sample April through November, and I'll get into more detail about that in just a couple minutes. We do a newsletter in the fall, and our goal is to, we've done a couple of in-ground projects within the Northeast River watershed, rain garden, small best management practices. We do homeowner consultations. Typically that ends up involving professional engineers because of the coastal dwellings. And we do some maintenance of existing best management practices to keep them functioning well and handling stormwater runoff. Top 4 priorities, those in-ground projects that I just mentioned, the water quality monitoring program. Public education and outreach, we will be mailing, I hope Friday, a little over 14,000 copies of the report card that I'm going to give to you to the citizens in the Elk River and the Northeast River watershed, and that typically generates some conversation with us with the general public. And increasing our partnerships. We have Friends of Bohemia, which is another all-volunteer group headed to Chesapeake Watershed Alliance, which is currently being formed out of the Havre de Grace Maritime Museum and Environmental Center in Harford County. Maryland Sea Grant Extension, Eric Buell there is an amazing partner. We've done a couple of grant proposals with him. Cecil Land Trust, phenomenal organization. Bill Kilby and all the folks associated with Land Trust are doing some amazing projects throughout the county, and of course many others that are too numerous to list. Our water quality sampling program, we worked for several years to develop a program that we could be comparable to other watershed associations within the Chesapeake Bay watershed. Most notably the Sassafras River Association, Friends of Bohemia, and with the Sassafras River Association now is merged into a much larger organization, Shore Rivers, down in the mid-shore area. Our water quality sampling program at each site, we currently have 10 sites on the Northeast River, 8 sites in the Elk River watershed. Our field tests are from April to November, once a month we test for air temp, water temp, dissolved oxygen, pH, conductivity, and turbidity, which is water clarity. We also draw samples from those sites and send them to a commercial lab to measure total nitrogen and total phosphorus. Dr. George Kaplan is our coordinator on the Northeast River, and Mr. Ron Hartman is the coordinator on the Elk River. We have about 13 now volunteers that are sampling on these 18 different sites. We take all the data that we collect and we upload it to the Chesapeake Monitoring Cooperative Database, which is publicly available and it's also used by state and federal agencies. Our protocols are compliant with Tier 2 data so that the agencies that pull this data know exactly how it was gathered and that the quality assurance of it is consistent with the Mid-Atlantic Tributary Assessment Coalition protocols. We are a very strong partner is the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay. They ensure that we're recertifying all of our samplers annually in compliance with that Tier 2 requirements. Most importantly to us, or one of the most significant uses in the day list for the Maryland Department of Environment for their integrated report of surface water quality, which I think is biannual. So we're very pleased and happy that the data that our volunteers are collecting are actually being used not just for this report card here, but also by the state and federal agencies that in combination with all the other water quality sampling that's done throughout the Chesapeake Bay. To speak to you a little bit more definitively, and I should pass these out because you can see these better than I'll just hand these out.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. As I mentioned, we have 10 sites throughout the Northeast River watershed. We have 8 sites throughout the Little and Big Elk watersheds. You note on the sample map there that we don't concentrate just right down on the river, but we're up higher to the north of the other watersheds because that's important. Those tributaries bring the waters down to the main rivers and impact the water quality. You see here a list of where we sample with their codes. And you notice here also that we sample primarily non-tidal with some tidal sites closer down to the waterways themselves. When we speak to grades, there is a very defined program, and from a quality assurance standpoint, George Kaplan, who coordinates the Northeast River, has designed a program. He's a partially retired astronomer, so he's got a very strong science background. He programmed the calculations, I think, using Fortran. Ron uses the spreadsheet that was vetted by the Alliance for the Bay so that we're double checking each other's work to make sure that our grades are making sense. It is important, each year's report card is important because we can see improvement or degradation. But most important is the trends that we see over time. That allows us to, the next step of what are we going to do next, will be to use this data to try to select particular sites that might benefit from best management practice installations, such as rain gardens, microbial retention facilities, perhaps stream bank restoration, practices such as that, which we will partner with Department of Public Works, Stormwater Management Division for the county, and also with the individual municipalities, which is one reason I'm here today. The Elk River, to give you just a little bit of history on our sampling program, we started out on the Northeast River with about 5 or 6 sites. You have to have at least 8 to publish a report card to meet the parameters. We were limited because we only had enough money to send a certain number of samples to the lab. The lab fees are about $25 per sample for total nitrogen, total phosphorus. So for an 8-month season, you're going to have about $200 per site in lab fees. You can see the 8 sites that we have here on the Elk. There are some limitations and opportunities that we have. First of all is the funding that I just mentioned, $200 per site. We have 18 sites, so it's $3,600 per year. We were limited early on because we only had 1 testing kit. There's several pieces of equipment that need to be calibrated, maintained, and used for the different parameters. We only had 1 kit. In conversation with the town of Northeast, they were generous and kind enough to purchase a second water sampling kit, which provided us with a second set of instruments, which allowed us to expand our sampling out into the Elk River, which was our original intent. The town of Northeast also funds all the lab fees for the 10 sites on the Northeast River. We also engaged with Cecil County. We received a grant from Cecil County for the public education and outreach piece of our work. We also typically received a VLT, or Video Lottery Terminal grant, which helps with the mailing of the report card. Typically, to mail about 14,000 copies to print and mail, 14,000 copies to addresses within these two watersheds. It costs about $7,000 a year. So because we were able to, the support from the town of Northeast, and I'll let you speak to that a little bit more about how you, what went into that decision.
So, the town of Northeast started working with the Elkton Northeast River Watershed Association about 9 years ago, so it predated me. But from my point of view, I'm a big advocate of environmental stewardship and the importance of that. So as I got to learn more about the Elkton Northeast River Watershed Association, I started thinking of ways that I could help them, but being that we're the town of Northeast, I really could only help them with the parts of the program that deal with the town of Northeast. So again, we, as Mark mentioned, we do pay for the testing for the Northeast sites, and then when they wanted to broaden their scope and include sites on the Northeast, we just didn't have the equipment to do it. So I could justify buying a kit for the Northeast area, and that left the current kit they had to be used for the Elk River sites. And I think we'd like to see that, they'd like to see that expanded as well. From our standpoint, with this partnership, we actually use this as part of the educational component on our MS4 permit. So we get extra value out of how we support them. It really isn't a high dollar amount. For fiscal year 23-24, we've budgeted about $2,800 to help with all these payments that get done. We also, the data points used in the report card are useful to our water department because they can see, have some sense, have a data point of what's coming down. Just like Elkton, we have a surface water plant.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives them an idea of the quality of water that's coming into the plant. So it's just, it's a very useful program. It's not a high dollar amount, but it gets a lot of bang for the buck. And so we support them, we'll continue to support them. And I appreciate your time.
Mike, who runs your water plant?
Ron Carter. Ron Carter.
You guys do it on your own? You guys are, Northeast is running?
Yes, that's our water utility.
Okay. Well, listen, I could tell you this, looking at the grades that we're getting outside of, our nitrogen levels are, that's kind of a little bit surprising to me. But when you start looking up as high as Fair Hill on the Big Elk Creek and you come down, GRM, I'm not familiar with that site. Is that?
Grammy's running.
And and MSE is standing for?
It's for the Big Elk Creek Dam on East Main Street.
Yeah, so when you look at that, you see the, well, it doesn't, the MSE, it's showing a lot of nitrogen coming down into that, which we always say it's that Pennsylvania soil that's coming all the way down, a lot of mushroom soil coming down into our system. But when you look at it going out, we're based on these numbers, it's an F going in, it's an F going out. I would almost think that we'd have to improve it a little bit after it went through our treatment plants in some way. I don't know.
Well, we do see that the areas south of Fair Hill are probably our is some of our best area because that's primarily park area there.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be really careful too because in other positions that I have a lot of Purdue chicken and other meats in my freezer. So I want to make sure that we don't inadvertently disparage any particular industry. Right?
Understand.
Agriculture, all of us, because along with agricultural runoff, there is absolutely a relationship between water quality and how much and how fertilizers are applied to fields. But we need those farmers.
No question.
That's one of the real values of organizations like Cecil Land Trust. Bill Kilby's got a lot more credibility with farmers than I do, because he's been there and done that. So we want to make sure that we recognize that urban runoff, agricultural runoff, point and non-point source, all play an impact on the water quality. So what we're looking to do now, over the next year is to take, we basically have a 3-year trend on the northeast, we've got a 2-year trend on the Elk. We want to really start looking at the actual landscape around some of the places that we sample. And what can we now do through grant proposals and partnerships? It's got to be a partnership. We're way too small to do anything on our own. We've just recently, we've submitted 2 proposals in partnership with Maryland CMAQ Extension and the Cecil County Stormwater Management Division, who have professional engineers there that have a skill set that we don't have. And we want to partner with them to submit proposals for best management practices in different areas. We want to continue to sample. We're going to expand our area that we sample on the Elk. We're constrained not only by financially, but also by volunteers. And that was one of the reasons it was so important to have a second kit. You can't ask the volunteers that are spending 2 or 3 hours out in different kinds of weather to drive 30, 40, 50 miles to get a kit and then drive it back. It was really, from a logistical standpoint, having that second kit allowed us to expand out to the Elk River. So,
Well, I think,
go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, my knee-jerk reaction would be, we wanna support this. And, I would say to you that, I'd like to have maybe a request from you what you're looking for.
Okay.
Okay, and send it to us, and, but I think this is an absolute worthwhile project for us to be supportive of. And, you know, I just think about, I mean, it goes hand in hand with what we're trying to think about doing today, and I just think it's so important. And you know, your numbers are probably what we see. I know Rob's probably kayaking through there more so than any of us, and we see it.
Unfortunately, we are at the bottom of the slide.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah, and I do a lot of kayaking around Northeast River, Stony Run, through there, we've been up on the Elk. And when you're in a kayak rather than a boat, you see it.
You do.
You're up the tributaries, you're where the jump is. And there's a lot to take out of there.
Yes, there is.
Never come back empty.
Yes, that's for sure.
But we really do appreciate that. I'll be happy to give some correspondence.
Yeah, we'd love to maybe reach out. You can email it to Michelle, and it'll get sent over to the board, and I'm sure we can help.
What about Underwood?
You were reading my mind.
Oh, wasn't I?
Yes, actually.
Yeah, I think what they're getting ready to do hopefully will really be a huge impact.
Agreed. Are you familiar with Underwood Associates? They've done a lot of work in the city of Cavity Breaks, on their shorelines and so forth. And at the end of the day, in a nutshell, instead of taking storm water and moving it through a pipe as fast as you possibly can.
Right. Slow it down, soak it in, slow it down.
There it is. And that's what we're looking for with Underwood right now. We've initiated a contract with them, or an agreement with them. And they're going to start for us up by 279 and see what they can do about the velocity of the water moving
Right.
through. And then I was thinking myself that the test numbers might be a little
The clarity.
different once that's done.
Right, and we can certainly do comparisons such as that, and we've selected our sites kind of strategically to do exactly that, to see if we can narrow down where sources are, not to call anybody out, but to say, can we help, can we?
Yeah.
And I think that we did a microbial retention project next door to Northeast Town Hall about 4 years ago. It's drains about 4,000 square feet of parking lot. The town meeting room used to flood during the major 1-inch rains. Every time I see Mike, I'm having flooding, and it hasn't. And we were able to mitigate that problem with that, with BNP, that we could be as part of the Watershed Stewards Academy and partner with the town and the county. So it does work, you can do it, but it does take some time and partnerships.
Very good. Any other questions? Thank you guys for coming in.
Everybody, take your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, we appreciate your time.
It's good to
All
get
right.
to learn.
And great to see you guys.
Same here. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you got it. I'll be down there.
Yeah, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Okay, Lou, I think we got everything through, so we're down to our reports, I think.
Yes.
pretty good. We did pretty good. Okay, I wanted to mention that on Friday, the Cecil County was very fortunate to have the comptroller of the state of Maryland, Brooke Learman, in town. She made her way through the county and she made her way through Elkton. I think she had a breakfast at one place, and then she went to the Arts Council for lunch, and she ended up, I know, at the Alliance office, which hosted a very, very nice venue for her. And we also had a member from Senator Cardin's team in town, but it was a great gathering of people, and it went pretty well. So while I was at the Alliance office, I can tell you there was a few things that I saw that I didn't like. We need to do some work to that building. It's decaying in the inside, quite frankly. There's a tremendous amount of moisture going through that stucco and brick. I hope that we've repaired the roof on it, but the town meeting room should be a classic. That was, that was the first meeting room I ever served as a Parks and Rec member in. Did you ever serve in that building? On Parks and Rec board or any board? I was on the Parks and Rec board, and that's where we met, in the classic initial room, and I think we need to get that room, make it a priority to get that room up and running. I think I know it's going to be, it could be a lot of dollars, but let's work on fixing the I guess it would be the dampness that's coming through the walls at the
Not to
bottom.
mention the ceiling in there, man, that's a liability way down.
And I'm worried about that ceiling. There's a lot of, it looks like, I'm going to use the word asbestos tiles, but they were soundproof tiles that was put on that roundness up there. Who knows what it looks like underneath there? I don't know
You
how
can
much.
see a couple bare places and it looks like plaster.
Looks like plaster. Lou, do you remember that ever going up, those little tiles? Did we put those tiles up?
No, I think they were there.
They were there.
From the beginning of time.
I think they were in the beginning. They've been there a long, long time.
Didn't we do that study about the usage of the building, and would that wasn't incorporated in it?
No, that would have been the
back part.
the back part. But I think that if we could get, at least, let's move forward to get some prices on getting that room, because listen, we had some nice, it was a nice reception room. And I have to compliment you, you decorated it very nicely, that you didn't have to see that, but that building's gonna be like Holly Hall building before too long, if we don't do something about it. And I don't want it to happen under our watch. So Lou, get us some numbers so we can take a look at that interior of the old meeting room. Thank you. And it was great to see the comptroller. Just so the board knows, we proclaimed June 2nd. Michelle was able to perform a very fast proclamation for me on Friday late afternoon, and we were able to put it together, and we proclaimed June 2nd Comptroller Brooke Learman Day in the town of Elkton, and she promised she'll be back every June 2nd. Maybe to get Earl on his taxes, but...
I think we also proclaimed it Sonny's Day.
Did you? Yeah, we might, it may be a joint. Yeah, it might have been a couple of them. We had Sonny's on that day too, I think.
She's coming back June 2nd next year to see the new room.
That's right. Maybe that's what we'll have it for. But it was great to see her and great to have her here, and I think she's going to do a great job for the state. And I think she already loves Elkton, quite frankly.
Would there be any historical grant money that we could find?
Very possible. I don't see why there wouldn't be. It's a town building, and there should be maybe some effort. But I know that Jean is we've got her about granted out right now on a lot of these things.
Have you done any research on that, Alicia?
On grants for that, no, I have not.
Yeah, there might be out there.
Yeah, there's certainly maybe.
That would be awesome. Are you able to move forward with
I
that?
can, Jean is much more efficient with grants than I am right now, so
Well,
I can work with her and get
Maybe you
her.
could find
Yeah,
them.
I'm not gonna put it on her, because, yeah, she is granted out.
I know she's been working on a lot of grants.
Yeah.
Okay, on July 12th, on the agenda, I think it was July 12th, we got, I was met with an Elkton grad yesterday that works, he's like a regional manager for Enterprise. Now, it was interesting, because in my eyes, I always thought about Enterprise as the folks that you would go rent a car from when you're at the airport, and you go from point A to point B. But Enterprise has a very large leasing of fleets part of their company. I mean, that's where they do well in their business. And one of the things that I'm going to have him talk to us about on July 12th is the leasing of our fleet. He stressed to me that they go through the Maryland program to acquire the units, the cars, just like we do. But instead of the municipality going out to borrow money or use their capital dollars to do it, it can be leased. The county government started to do this last year with Enterprise, and they did it cold turkey. I mean, they decided to turn their whole fleet in, and they've taken their whole fleet with all new product and leased out at one time. Have to Grace is also under the plan. Perryville is another town in the county that's been doing it. I'm not saying we're doing it, but I'd like to get more information on it to see exactly what that looks like. It can be hybrids, it can be, you know, right now we're looking at 8 new police cars, we're looking at a handful of new trucks. Maybe that's brought in under a package and it's leased to us for 6 years, and then at that time, it's sold off and you start a new lease. It's an interesting proposal. I want to understand it. I don't know much about it, but I think it's something well worth us taking a look at. The other part of that is, which I thought was interesting, is that they offer a repair and maintenance program. So for your fleet, they handle your fleet for you. So if there was maintenance that needed to be done on your municipal trucks, your municipal cars, they can handle it all. So if there was I know we got our own people.
No, I'm just thinking about where do they do the maintenance?
They said they had 8 locations right here in the town of Elkton that they use.
Oh, they sub it out?
They sub it out, yeah.
Oh, I thought, I don't.
It's all subbed out.
Enterprise, repair location.
Yeah, it was interesting to me, but I think it's always,
Well, we'll find out.
I think it's well,
Just gonna crunch in numbers.
got to crunch in numbers and look at it. And also on July 12th, we'd like to have, and I mentioned this earlier, is that we want to have a meeting to talk about the water and sewer rates. I think we all recognize that our water and sewer rates have to rise, but there were some questions that the board had that we want to, before we actually put that firm number on where we need to be, there were some questions that they had we have as a team. Okay, with that, Gene, you're on.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for the budget, Mayor. I think you did a good job. Thank you. The only question I have, Steve, where are we on ARPA funds, and how long do we have to commit them?
They have to be committed by December 31st, 2024.
December?
31st, 2024.
Okay, so we got another good year, right?
That would be halfway through fiscal year 25.
Right, so they don't have to be designated right now?
No,
Okay, how much do we have left?
I don't have that number right in front of me.
Do you have a guesstimate?
No, last report was done through March. It's quarterly.
Need to pull that mic up, can't hear you.
Oh,
Their quarterly report, the next report will be due again in July. That will be for expenditures through June 30th. I honestly don't know. I've looked at a lot of numbers recently. I don't have that one next to my mind.
So, just comment, close to $1 million would be just for the project, for the force main.
yeah,
For Chesapeake Corporate Center.
yeah.
Probably $1 million plus for the interconnect for Artesian on Route 40. That'll be another $1 million there. And hopefully, I don't know, $500,000 maybe for the well number 3 PFAS pilot study and probably preliminary design. I don't think that would be a 3-year project, so we'll be past that.
I think hey Lou, I think we had
There's a lot of capital projects that are pending.
Yeah.
That are gonna take up several million.
I think that's what the board would like to see. I think there was one that we looked at a few months ago, but maybe you could list down what we spent, what we got proposed out, and then kind of where we're at. And I think that's what we're looking
That's all,
for.
yeah.
That's all we're looking for. Us,
Yeah, not a bottom, to the penny
and maybe
amount.
we can have that by Friday.
But it would be nice to stay on that, as we move forward, especially with July 12th meeting coming up.
I won't be able to give you the well 3 project by Friday because we have only the first phase of that done as opposed,
Yeah, but if you say in your,
we don't know what it will be because it's too complicated a project to just say it's that much. I could tell you it's $5 million and I can pretty much guarantee it'll be within that range. But I can't.
okay, you said 500,000, so I wasn't sure if that
No,
was.
500,000 is for the pilot.
The pilot.
And the
Okay.
design, I'm thinking.
Well, it's good to know.
That's not to
what-
build it yet.
Yeah, all right.
And that's
Well,
a lot involved in it.
well, you can put that as an unknown.
I'll just, I'll give you some big numbers and we'll,
Thank you.
Charles?
Fortunately, I was able to attend the Elkton High School graduation. Earl was also there. I thought the police did an excellent job in barricading traffic where it needed to be, directing traffic out. You remember for a number of years, we've always had a problem in that community and people throwing rocks and putting signs up to keep people out, but there was no problem at all. And Chief, you ought to commend him for that service. That's it.
I was looking to see if Mary McCall was on the Zoom, but I left my phone and I had a report for the Parks and Rec, so I guess I'll give it next meeting.
All right. Robert?
Not much. It was nice to welcome Brooke Lieberman back to Elkton. She does seem to really enjoy the town. And it was very nice to welcome Sonny's to Main Street in Elkton, to have the Testa family back in town. Known Brianna since she was a little girl, and it's exciting to see her operating a business, and I'm sure it's going to do well downtown with the addition of ice cream.
I love it.
I knew you would.
And I would be, and I think I need to at least mention this, I think every board member up here has been approached one way or the other by an employee or two to mention that there's members of the town looking at unionizing. And I just want to recognize that we are aware of it, so there's no secrets out there in the world. And quite frankly, I know that we probably need to take a look at our charter to either steer them in a direction that they're not spinning their wheels, or to make sure that there's provisions in there, just like our Elkton Police Department had, that it covers the rest of the town workers. So I think we all recognize it, we've all heard it, and I quite frankly, myself personally, and I'll put it here on the record, I don't really have a problem with it. They follow the same process that the police department did, and go out and get their votes in line and get the people to vote on it. That's what it's about the residents, right? If the residents vote for it, I'm all in.
Well,
So-
that would require, as it did in the initial, that a referendum be held during the election.
Yeah.
That would authorize collective bargaining for non-sworn personnel, if that's what you're interested in.
Yeah, I would just
So we
say,
could put together some form of referendum.
yeah, I would just say, I don't know, all I'm saying is I'm hearing bits and pieces of it, and I just wanted to let them know, let our employees know. no need to hide anything, let's talk about it and see where it has to go. Anything else? I don't think we need a meeting. Okay, with that, anyone in the audience? Pat?
Of course. Just out of curiosity, you're talking about, the Alliance building and the shape it's in. Can ARPA funds be used for that?
I don't think the ARPA funds could be used for building we couldn't use it for that. It's like,
We have a standard allowance, so it can be.
oh, it can be, some of the
Under
standard.
allowance, we can use it for governmental purposes.
So the answer is yes, we could use some ARPA funding, yes.
Okay, could it be used at Elk Landing also? Because every room at Elk Landing has that same, where the paint's off the wall and got all this powder coming out all over.
You know, those old buildings were made
I
with,
heard that the State House in Annapolis has the same problem.
and if you don't cut it up high enough, it just comes right back. It's not like you can just repair it.
It does,
You gotta go up high and remove it all down, and I don't know if you plaster it back or if you put drywall up. I mean, I
We
know it's,
tried spot plastering and it just came right back, like you say, maybe because we didn't go high enough.
it's like a disease that
Yes.
gets in there. Yeah, it truly is.
Every room at Elk Landing has it.
I know it does.
Yeah.
We need to take a look at that too. You guys got a lot of money in your account.
Oh,
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got-
back off.
You guys gotta use all your money up first.
But if there's a way where ARPA funds could possibly be used.
I think that,
on a town building,
Louis, what was that you just said?
The, Elk Landing's under Maryland Historic Trust easement, so any work you do, other than some cosmetic or some. minor
has to go
stuff,
through that.
It has to go through them, but I think just repairs and plaster or something, I know.
Probably hall's gonna be a big one too.
It's gonna be a large one.
Check.
All right, anything else, ma'am?
Oh, I'm done, I'm sorry, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything to say for the good of the board today? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.